Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, this is G. You're watching Allastrology. And if you have found me, you have found the Aries degrees. This is a video series where we are discussing the 30 degrees of Aries, and we go through each degree. And in this video series, we will go through all 12 signs of the zodiac and discuss the 30 degrees, a video for each one. So this is Aries at 5 degrees. Starting with number 5, we know that how Aries tends to kind of be a little on the childlike side. Well, the 5 degrees represents play and fun. So there's a compatibility with 5 degrees and Aries energy. They both are very fiery, but the 5 degrees is really a very creative and colorful degree. So for an individual with Aries energy at 5, I like this because it's not going to be all about this with Aries at 5 degrees. It's going to be more about let's have a good time. Let's entertain. Let's laugh. I want to be in my happy space, right? And so for Aries, it's thinking back in childhood, but what did I do for a good time in childhood? What did I, this can be like class clown energy, right? Am I being entertained or am I the entertainer even? And Aries at 5 being very creative it's going to be about the way in which it expresses. So this is hair. I'm hearing big hair. But Aries tends to be a little bit more militant. So this makes me think of like Michael Jackson energy. Because if you were to look at, especially later in his young life, um, he took on some of the military type uniform tones in the way that he dressed, right? But he made it his own. It was colorful, it was creative, and that is this energy, colorful and creative. It's Aries, which is all about me. It's an expression of me, but he does it in a creative way. Very masculine energy, double masculine energy here. Okay. So very fired up, very creative, very physically strong. The 5 degrees is an athletic degree. Aries is an athletic degree. Aries is the Marine, the fighter, the leader. And the 5 degrees and the combination of the Aries can be very spontaneous with fun and joy and laughter. All right. And again, engaging in activities that make me feel like a kid again. This would be a very fun energy to be around. This would be somebody who can pop off with jokes, who can keep the mood light, right? This could be somebody who is, other than being quite spontaneous and up for spontaneity, can know when to use humor and bring humor in. Instead of doing the fists, they may crack jokes, right? They may have the ability to break the ice with some humor. Um, with the Aries energy and the 5 degrees energy, one of the cautions that we would want to keep in mind is there's probably some strong ego and prideful energy for someone who's not really aware. If they're not aware of how they are speaking and acting, they may feel that they're not only the leader, but they can be the boss of other people. So this would be some of those things that we would consider vices instead of virtues. The virtuous part of Aries at 5 would be a leader who would look out for others, a leader who would maybe stick up and fight for others, but especially probably do that towards and for children, even. They might want to fight for children. They might want to stand up for children. And that doesn't necessarily mean children by age only. It can be anybody that you come across in your life where there's something about them where you recognize that, there's some youthful essence that still exists in them. And you see that, and so others might think they're a little naive or they're a little silly. And that might be something that an Aries at 5 degrees recognizes and says, oh, that's worth fighting for, preserving that sense of innocence. That's something where if somebody else can't kind of stick up for themselves, the Aries at 5 degrees may step forward and may choose to kind of be the adult in the room. But again, caution about, trying to uh, overstep boundaries, because Aries, in essence, at its very basic energy, is about freedom, my freedoms. That's Aries energy. And so the pride, the ego, and being able to have the freedom of expression, really important here. The freedom to be creative and to be colorful, really important here. So Aries may stand out and use humor and color by its appearance, because it's Aries energy, and that's the Mars being the ruler. And so there's, like I said, Michael Jackson, someone who you could kind of see them, you could see him taking the kind of military tone, but yet not going full throttle on it, adding a little color here and there, and just taking little cues from it and using bits and pieces of it to make him look quite unique, actually, and a leader in some way, for sure. A leader and a pioneer in some way. Like there will never be another, right? The man, just amazing. So it also goes to his laugh and his smile. You can even see it when he was smiling. Life in at the latter part of his life, unfortunately, you would see that he wasn't smiling as much anymore. Things were getting heavy. People were accusing him of this and of that, and so life got real serious. And the public wasn't his children anymore. The public turned on him, and so yeah, he created his own family, and then things got, everything just went from like bad to worse in a way for him. And so you would see him smile less and less. But if you look back, whether it's interviews, award shows, videos, or behind the scenes stuff, the man loved creating. And you could see the process of creating, like working with others. He was phenomenal. He was always laughing and joking, and he enjoyed the work. He really had fun doing it because he was in a creative mode. As long as he was in a creative mode and he had that creative freedom, he was happy. He was smiling. That was his happy space. So I feel like Aries at 5 degrees has a lot in common with that part of his life, with his appearance, with his energy, with that beautiful smile, with that wonderful childlike laugh that he had. You could see him and feel it, and you felt it. You were, you can, yeah, it was like you were there and experiencing the laughter and the joy with him. And 5 degrees is a very joyful energy. It is about feeling joy, experiencing joy. And that would mean, and you would even hear, like if you listen to interviews with him, you would hear him talk about experiencing the newness and the awe, like as if you were a child. He would even say, even in the Bible, it says Jesus's words were something to the effect of, um, if you live like as a child, be as a child, as though you're experiencing each day for the first time, and the wonder of a sunset, the amazing sounds of the birds and how they survive, and just coming through life in a lens of wonderment. And that means new and fresh, with a fresh set of eyes each time, like a pioneer energy. And so it's embracing new and excitement, and combining joy and wonder and happiness and laughter for sure. So Aries at 5 is going to feel freedom when it's having a good time, when it's creating, when it feels it has the freedom to express its uniqueness, the freedom to express by its appearance and by its actions that it takes. It wants to have a good time. It may be a little naive and young. It would have to be cautious of the extreme fire energy that it does have. The Aries and the 5 degrees, both very strong fire energy. So as long as it's aware of that, it can probably get a lot accomplished. It can do well with starting things. And if they're creative, hopefully it finishes things, because Aries is known for being a great starter and a leader, but maybe not necessarily being able to finish things. But chances are, Aries at 5, if it's having fun, if it can experience joy and freedom, it will then have the follow through to complete something. But it would probably love to lead and be the boss, almost like a father figure in a way. So the Aries at this degree has the ability to grow and to progress into a great creator, and to grow and progress into a great leader, and to be inspiring even for others, to be inspirational and positive, because Aries and 5 degrees have an extremely fun and optimistic outlook on life in general. The only catch would be to not overstep others' freedoms and others' boundaries of creative expression. I hope this helps.